Hello, everyone. Well, it's good to be here. It's very, very good to be here. I've got my new system set up, so I always have to play around a little bit and make sure that all is well. We don't want what happened last time to happen this time now, do we? Those 8 minutes of silence while I was like so into my story. And you guys were like, Lorie, we can't hear anything. Welcome. Welcome to the Lorie Ladd Show. Really happy to be here. I've got a really fun show for you guys. I just deep dived into CERN and the God particle the last couple of hours. I have so much to share with you. Let me start by saying I apologize for not being here yesterday. I had an episode called Vertigo. Never had vertigo before. I had vertigo. I actually feel a little like it's started coming on a couple of minutes ago. I had to go to the ER. I could not walk. I literally could not stand up hardly. I threw up twice. It was the craziest experience I've ever had uh, with regards to just a random weird vertigo. Um, I did have a really profound and powerful cellular recalibration this past week with a lot of tonings and retuning of the cellular structures within my body. And because of that, one of my right ear got clogged, and I then it went away. So that was great. And then it came back yesterday morning, and of course, I was sitting with Yeshua asking him what was going on, and he explained to me all of what is happening with our bodies. And so, in today's show, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. One, I want to talk a little bit about the cellular recalibrations that are starting to happen for us with regards to anchoring in God's light, God consciousness, which is a very different frequency and light than the frequency of the sunlight that we've been anchoring in. Okay. So it's a very different frequency. It's going to have a very different impact on our physical vessel. And it is exactly what is designed to happen next as we begin to bring in the light of God back into our bodies. A lot of us believe that we've already been connected to God and God's light's been moving through us, or that we are God. And so, therefore, there's nothing that needs to happen. And what I have been learning from Yeshua the past 6 months and experiencing within my own physical vessel is that actually we have been disconnected from the light of God, and our memory has been wiped around the God particle. And so we have not actually been breathing in and circulating God consciousness through our bodies. We're designed to. It's how the evolutionary shift happens. And so when we start doing this, the body is going to start to have to recalibrate a lot of different things within us. A lot of density starts to flood out. Um, the There might be some equilibrium stuff that happens, like with me. A lot of toning and retuning happens in the body, and it's not something that you actually do. And in fact, I would encourage my own opinion. I would encourage you to not try to do it, because your body will naturally crave it, or naturally say, go do this or go do that or go sit here or go experience this. Your body will tell you. Your body craves this light. It's going to start craving the God consciousness. Your cells need it. It's like a plant that needs sunlight, right? They have to have that sunlight. When your cells start to finally drink that light again, they come alive. You'll start to come alive in a way that you haven't felt ever before in your life. It feels like you're finally living for the first time. It's a very strange, interesting experience. And so you'll crave that. Your body will need that. And you will be guided by your body. with what it needs in order to continue to anchor this consciousness, this God consciousness. Because our bodies are so dense right now. This needs to happen very slowly. And again, this is very, very different than the light that the human body has been anchoring from the sun. It's a very different frequency. It's a very different light. It's a very, very, very high frequency, high caliber, pure divinity. And I wanted to just quickly speak about this in case you start to, as you begin to invite in the light of God. Here are a couple of things that Yeshua shared with me that I should start doing going forward after this calibration with my cells, and I want to share it with you. So the first thing that he recommended is a lot of water. And he also said, well, what he said to me was put oxygen in your water. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I know that I know there's drops that you can put in your water. And so I went to my store my grocery store that I go to, and they had this stuff called cell food. And so I bought this cell food stuff to put in my water. It's drops that are like, they have oxygen and other things like that. So that's the first thing he said. Make sure you drink more water than you normally do and put oxygen in the water. The second thing he said is fasting. You need to fast your body. Your body doesn't need the amount of food that you give it. It needs fasting. It needs to um, it runs faster, or it runs smoother with less food in it. So when the more food we stick in it, the more it slows it down, clogs it in a way. The third thing he said is nature and sunlight. So even if you live in a country right now where you don't get a lot of sunlight, just be in nature. And then he said, of course, stillness, silence, and being slow. So the more you can be in stillness and in silence, the better. The more you can go slow in life, the better. The slower you can go right now, the better, even if you have a busy life. And the last thing he said is being very, very conscious of what you are consuming. Um, so be conscious of what you're consuming online, what you're listening to, who you're spending time with. Um, he said to me, and I found this very fascinating. He said to me, Lorie, as you start moving through these more accelerated or intense transitions, energetic shifts, cellular shifts in the body, you want to keep it inward. So he says if you speak about it a lot, if you're constantly like giving out and sharing and talking about these things that are happening with you, you're sending leaks out. Okay? So it's like um the transformational stuff that's occurring, it's leaking to all these different people or venues and that you're sharing it with. He says if you can keep everything as close to your vest in a way as possible, right? um, the transformation is more potent and it accelerates it quicker. So just think about that. He also said, with regards to people in our lives, pay attention to how much energy you're expelling out to people and how drained you may feel. And what can you do to eradicate that, or kind of stop those um, energetic energies from going out to people all the time. So maybe you have people in your life that you kind of feel like are always pulling your energy. They're always requiring a lot from you. Can you pull back a little bit from that? Don't make them wrong, because they're not wrong. They're not bad. It's just starting to become aware of how much we can contain within us so that these transformational shifts that will begin to happen as you invite in the light of God, you want to hold it close to you. And so anytime you're kind of I want to use the word expelling for some reason, but like expelling energy out to others, especially if it feels like it's being pulled from you, like somebody needs something all the time, right? Be conscious of that and see if there's a way that you can mitigate that. slow it down, maybe not be so available all the time. Maybe try not to answer all the time when they're needing things. Figure out how, in a conscious and compassionate way, you can um, stop that for a little while and see what it feels like to go inward with these transformational journeys that are happening with us more and more. And if you're curious about what I'm speaking about and you're brand new and you have no idea, I'm talking about inviting in the light of God over and over and over again in order to activate the God particle. Um, and so let's get into the God particle and CERN, which is really what I wanted to talk to all of you guys about today. Um, so first of all, what is the God particle? It's the thing I'm going to be speaking about forever. I learned about it from Jesus, from Yeshua, and I started training and writing a book with Jesus about 6 months ago. And the God particle is basically this little particle within your physical vessel, and it's held within the heart center, so right here, and it holds God consciousness. It holds an aspect of God, which is you. And 7,000 years ago, of course, we've spoken about this many times, but you can't hear it enough. 7,000 years ago, there was an infiltration on this planet of hybrid beings that came in and took over. And what they did is they wanted to control humanity. And the first thing they did, because they knew that we were connected to the God particle, so we had this light of God moving through us. Okay, the light of God that we're now starting to activate, integrate, and embody, that was already flowing through us 7,000 years ago and before. And it had activated this. So the God particle was moving. So we were accessing godlike ways of being slowly. Okay. It was a slow process, it's evolution. Well, they knew that if we were all connected to this, they couldn't control us. So they had to disconnect this. So they energetically disconnected God's light from coming in. And then they erased the memory of this so that we wouldn't remember that this was here. Okay. That's the God particle in a nutshell. What is CERN? Many of you know what CERN is. I don't know a lot about CERN. I'm not a scientist. I am a beyond. I'm a before preschool person when I start talking about CERN. So I know very little. Okay, I'm not trying to be a proficient person on CERN. But here's what I will share about CERN. CERN started in 1954. Um, right now, there is a large hadron collider that is located in a 27-kilometer circumference tunnel, 175 meters beneath France and Switzerland's border near Geneva. Currently, there are about 6,000 top physicists of this world that work there or work with it in some capacity. And the purpose of CERN was to recreate the Big Bang, and by sending proton beams at a 99.9% speed of light, so basically the speed of light in this circle, and then have these two proton beams collide and then create matter out of that explosion. So they're trying to figure out where we came from. How could we exist from nothingness? And so they back in, like, I think 1960, there was some guy, Higgs or somebody, that said, "Oh, there's a particle that created everything." Um, and they call it the Higgs bogon particle, or the God particle. And so they've been trying to recreate this particle, which is basically, again, where all life originated from. There was some sort of pop, some sort of moment where life began from this particle. And so what they're basically talking about is God, that we are an aspect of God, that we literally popped out of this field of nothingness in a way. And when we popped out, we held an aspect of that creation in us, and that's the God particle. Okay? So They're trying to figure this whole thing out because they want to recreate it. Because if they can recreate it in humanity's existence and reality now, then they can re-invite humanity back into a fake version, so to speak, of the God particle. So we would essentially believe that we were now activated and connecting to God, and then they would just control us. So I'm going to share with you guys a couple of videos. The first video is just a quick description of CERN, okay? And then I'm going to share a couple more videos. Okay, here's the first video of what is this Large Hadron Collider, which is where CERN is. Okay, so just a quick little, the sound was low. You guys didn't hear it? You did hear it or you did not hear it? Let me know, because I don't want to play the rest of them if you guys didn't hear it. There was no sound. What the heck? Hold, please. We will redo this one, won't we? All right. Now you'll hear it.
17-mile loop before being smashed together to create subatomic particles. It recreates the conditions that existed just after the Big Bang.
Okay, so just a real quick little synopsis of what CERN is. What do? They swirl the little proton things, trying to recreate the Big Bang, trying to figure out where creation started. But really what they're trying to figure out is, how can we recreate the God particle that we basically silenced in all of humanity? Okay, let's figure this out. Let's spend billions of dollars and let's try to recreate that proton so that we can then, I don't know what they're going to do when they thought they were going to be able to recreate God. You can't. You can't create, you can't destroy, you can't replicate the God particle. So, the Higgs boson is the God particle, which is what they were trying to find. They knew that it was where all life started, and they were trying to find how to reproduce this, like I was saying. So in my opinion, they were trying to figure out how to recreate it so that they could control humanity. Because again, once we reconnect into this God particle, we cannot be controlled. It won't happen. We will be completely aligned and sovereign with God's light. So the last thing they want is us to, 1, remember the God particle, 2, bring in the light of God to activate that God particle, and 3, begin to live from that state. Okay, gotta stop it. So basically what he's saying is they're trying to find the particle that doesn't exist in nature at all, but they know is the particle that must have created all of life. So they're literally trying to recreate God, but they're just saying it in like fancy terms. Here's another video, somebody explaining it really quickly. Hold.
The God particle is a nickname for the Higgs boson, a particle that gives mass to other particles. It is part of the Higgs field, which fills the universe. It was discovered in 2012 at CERN's Large Hadron Collider. The God particle is a nickname.
So that's the other thing, you guys. They supposedly found it in 2012, but I've got more to share with you about that. It's where all matter is, where mass is created, right? And they figured out that they found it. I don't think they found it. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So here's where it gets a little funky, okay? CERN has a lot. When I started researching the CERN facility, And I started realizing that they were trying to recreate the God particle. I realized, well, these are probably families, the elite families that have been controlling the planet for thousands of years. And if that's true, then they're demonic. They're satanic and demonic, right? And I watched a satanic ceremony that took place that I saw on Candace Owens' show. A satanic ceremony that took place outside the CERN facility. And that really caught my attention because I thought, well, that's weird. Like, very weird. Whether it's real or not, and I believe it's real, uh, it was a real satanic or sacrifice. Even if it was a joke, that's weird. That is bizarre. And that makes no sense. Why are you doing satanic ritualistic things in a CERN facility that's designed to recreate the God particle? That in and of itself is so dark and evil. You have to start assuming that there is something dark and evil happening in the CERN facility. Okay, I'm going to share this next video with you guys. Don't worry, you don't see the actual ceremony, although you can go search it on YouTube. It's there. But let me share this with you guys. Well, here's what you know what, before I do that, when I was researching, I want to share something with you instead. I don't think I can research. I don't think I can share this. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can. Okay. When I was researching like what happens at CERN, here's some really interesting things I found. So real movies that were filmed at CERN. I want you to take a look at some of these. Angels and Demons included scenes filmed on site at CERN. Interesting. Decay, a horror film produced by PhD students filmed in CERN maintenance tunnels. Odd. Open My Eyes, a story following the disappearance of a quantum physicist. Interesting. There's no like there's no like absolute truth that you can take from that, other than that's also very weird, very odd, very strange. Why are they using the CERN facility to create these movies? It's kind of weird. Now, here's the sacrifice, the satanic ritual that happened on the facility of CERN.
Terrifying. In 2016, a video surfaced online showing what looked like a mock human sacrifice in the courtyard of CERN, right in front of the statue of Shiva, the destroyer. A gift from India symbolizing creation and destruction, the footage sparked immediate panic. People around the world believed CERN was not just doing science, but performing occult rituals tied to its experiments. CERN quickly responded, saying the video was a prank staged by individuals with unauthorized access. But still, the symbolism of a sacrifice in front of a statue of Shiva, combined with CERN's mission of smashing particles to recreate conditions from the Big Bang, sent conspiracy theories into overdrive. Even though CERN dismissed it, the association of occult practices with high-energy experiments left many people disturbed and made some physicists uncomfortable with the public's perception of their work. CERN.
Well, of course, that would be very, very strange. Very strange. Okay, so that's interesting. That's very interesting. That's all I'm going to say. Whether it's real or not, odd, interesting, strange, bizarre, in a facility that's trying to recreate the God particle. If my theory is correct and the God particle is real, And that 7,000 years ago, they did wipe the memory of the God particle from us and disconnected God's light coming down into us. This makes perfect sense. Here's a facility. There's many of them around the world, but here's the most famous facility trying to recreate this thing that they wiped the memory of so that they can try to recreate it and build it in some capacity. So I don't know what they were going to do, put it in our bodies, put the chip in our body that had it. I don't know. And then we would all of a sudden feel like we had found God. And then they would just completely control us. See, when we have access to the God particle, we still have the ability to become free. We still have the ability to become free, which is what evolution is, which is what we are all doing. We are walking ourselves back to this remembrance. We are crawling back to this remembrance. We are running back to this remembrance. We are jumping and like just like hollering yes, because we still have access to this, because we are remembering this. We are starting to remember this. We're starting to say, wait a second, bring in that light of God. My gosh, when I do this, I feel alive. Everything's starting to change. Everything's starting to shift. Holy cow. It's all about bringing in this light and activating this. Where has this been my whole life? And here you have this dark facility where there's been videos, there's been movies filmed that are strange, odd, dark movies. Weird. There is at least one satanic ritual that has been literally videoed live. There are no videos on the ground. They weren't doing some sort of like mock something, right? And then you have them calling it the God particle. It's right in front of our faces. This is how they do it. They literally are mocking us. We're trying to find the God particle, but you guys don't know that the God particle is actually inside of you. It's like they're saying the word God particle, and we're still not thinking, wait a second, the God particle? Stop the presses. It's right here. You like, okay. So then I found this video. Okay. So, like I said, no matter what happens, you guys, no matter how much evil we see, you can't destroy God. You can't destroy the light of God. It is impossible. This particle cannot be destroyed. Not going to happen. So, as I was doing some research today, I found this video. And this man, he was talking about, he was researching all of there have been 7 very strange disturbances during CERN activity that can't be explained. And they are written in reports that are only found within the CERN facility, the CERN community. It's not reports that are sent out to the public. And he's talking about 7 very strange and odd disruptions during CERN's activities trying to replicate the God particle and whatever else it's doing now. And so I want to share these 2 videos because I just find it fascinating, because I believe that there is a God that is this omnipresent light. And I believe that this God is guiding us to these higher states of being, and it's pulling us out of the evil. It's pulling us out of the darkness. It's walking us back into our light, our divinity, our godliness inside. I believe that so strongly. And when I watched this video, I knew that this omnipresent light of God, with all of its amazing seraphim angels that battle this planet for us, was at play here. So here we go. Take a listen to this. Sorry, you guys, it takes me a while because I'm new. I'm just learning this. Just learning how to do all this. Okay, here we go.
Somewhere beneath the Swiss-French border, buried under hundreds of feet of rock and soil, inside a sterile control room, humming with fluorescent light and the quiet whir of cooling fans, an engineer watches his screen turn red. No one pressed a button. No one issued a command. The machine protection system, acting entirely on its own, ripped the beam out of the Large Hadron Collider in a fraction of a second. Protons that had been circling 17 miles of tunnel at 99.9% the speed of light, each beam carrying the kinetic energy of a 400-ton freight train barreling down the tracks at full speed, were gone. Just like that. Silence. Where there had been the most concentrated energy humans have ever deliberately created. CERN's official report used 3 words to explain what happened. End of run equipment, tiredness. 3 words for the 7th major disruption to the most expensive scientific experiment in human history. Now, big machines break. Everyone knows that. That is not a story. That is engineering. But here's what nobody's talking about. When you line up every machine ever built to find the Higgs boson, not just this one, but all of them across decades and continents, a pattern emerges that 2 physicists at the Niels Bohr Institute and the Yukawa Institute say should not be possible unless something is actively preventing us from studying this particle.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys got that, but he was just describing one event out of 7 that have happened in the past 10 years that CERN has been, or was it the last 10 years? I can't remember what he said. Basically, out of nowhere, everything was moving. The protons were running around at the light speed. And then just like that, all just stopped, just disappeared, gone. That's one of 7 of these types of events that have happened. And so these 2 scientists studied these. They studied all 7 of these events. And they wrote this article that I'm going to show you guys. Okay, hold on one sec.
At the Niels Bohr Institute in Copenhagen, and Masao Ninomiya at the Yukawa Institute in Kyoto. Tenured physicists at 2 of the most prestigious theoretical physics institutions on Earth. They published 2 peer-reviewed papers with titles that sound like science fiction but are not. Test of Effect from Future, in Large Hadron Collider, a proposal, and Search for Future Influence from LHC. Their argument is breathtaking. The Higgs boson, they suggest, may be so fundamentally abhorrent to nature that creating large quantities of them sends ripples backward through time to prevent their production. Every disruption, political, mechanical, biological, electrical, is the universe course-correcting, protecting itself from something it cannot tolerate.
The universe course-correcting and protecting itself from something it can't recreate or tolerate. These are 2 physicists. These are not spiritual people. These are 2 physicists that researched and studied all of this. Let me rewind that one more time. I think this is important.
They published 2 peer-reviewed papers with titles that sound like science fiction but are not. Test of Effect from Future, in Large Hadron Collider, a proposal, and Search for Future Influence from LHC. Their argument is breathtaking. The Higgs boson, they suggest, may be so fundamentally abhorrent to nature that creating large quantities of them sends ripples backward through time to prevent their production. Every disruption, political, mechanical, biological, electrical, is the universe course-correcting, protecting itself from something it cannot tolerate. Nielsen put it plainly.
Correcting itself from something it can't tolerate. Course-correcting. God is course-correcting the replication of itself. It won't happen. So they're like, yeah, we found the particle. We found the Higgs boson. We found the God particle. Meanwhile, they're continuing to try to replicate it, and God's not letting them. It's being destroyed right before they are capable of replicating it. And these physicists have discovered that they have found that it's because that the universe can't tolerate it. It can't hold it. It can't have space for it. Okay, so let's keep going for a second. Let me rewind it for a second. I just find this fascinating.
Sends ripples backward through time to prevent their production. Every disruption, political, mechanical, biological, electrical, Is the universe course correcting, protecting itself from something it cannot tolerate? Nielsen put it plainly. You could explain it by saying that God, in inverted commas, or nature hates the Higgs and tries to avoid them. He compared the mechanism to the grandfather paradox, a man traveling back in time to prevent his own birth. Except here, the universe itself is traveling backward to stop the Higgs from being produced in dangerous quantities. They even proposed a real experimental test. Make a legally binding agreement that the LHC will not operate if 11 thrown dice all come up showing 1. The odds of that happening randomly are 1 in roughly 3 billion. If the dice do all land on 1, backward causation is real. The future is vetoing the present. The physics community's response was swift and dismissive. Dmitry Denisov of Fermilab called them clearly crazy theories. But the disruptions keep coming, the causes keep changing, and the result never does. Stephen Hawking bet $100 that the Higgs boson would never be found. He lost that bet in 2012. But after the discovery, he wrote something in the preface of a book called Starmus that barely anyone noticed. The Higgs potential has the worrisome feature that it might become metastable at energies above 100 billion electron volts. This could mean that the universe could undergo catastrophic vacuum decay with a bubble of the true vacuum expanding at the speed of light.
Okay, not to go into too much physics stuff. Point being, beautiful, amazing humans. Something's stopping them from continuing to be able to replicate and recreate this particle. And it's not just haphazardly happening or just like, oh, that's so weird. There's like scientific evidence, peer-reviewed articles, well-known physicists that are speaking about it. Basically, it's God saying, you can't do this. You won't do this. It's not happening. Which I think is one of the greatest messages ever. Because evil isn't going to win. These people, these half people, half God knows what else, that have been trying to do everything they can to control us, will never, ever take the God particle from us. Ever. Ever. And so long as we have the God particle, we have our divinity. And we have our freedom. And so where we are now on the planet in our evolutionary shift in human consciousness is literally giving the finger to all of these people that have been controlling us, all of the ways they've been manipulating us, all of the ways they've been telling you how to live and how to be. Make sure that you're on all of these devices and you're consuming all of this nonsense information over and over, nonstop. Make sure you're dividing and arguing about stuff that doesn't matter. Make sure that you're being satisfied by the external world. Hey, we're going to give you more money. We're going to give you more food. We're going to give you more of this. We're going to give you all kinds of stuff so that you can be seen and you can have success. And look at how great the external world is. Here, consume more, have more, get more, grab more. Look how happy you are. Look how fulfilled you are. It's all about the external world. Nothing about God and the God particle and your divinity within you. Nothing about connecting back into the light of God. Nothing about breathing God's light back in. Of course not. Because when we start doing that, we break free. When we start doing that, we find our divine spark of God. When we start doing that, we no longer need the external world. When we start doing that, our whole egoic structure dissolves. When we start doing that, we don't need everything the world has told us that we need. We cannot be controlled. The second we sit into the seat of the God particle, we are laying at the arms of God's light. And God's light cannot be infiltrated or destroyed. You are safe in God's light. You are safe activating the God particle. You are safe breathing in God's light. You begin to walk back home to the safety zone. And they don't want that. And CERN is just one of many examples, but one that I find very fascinating because it's right in our faces. And go and do your own research on it. You know, it's mind blowing to realize that this has always been right in our faces. And even calling it the God particle. Apparently, it was called the goddamn particle because they couldn't find it. So then they just said, let's shorten it to the God particle. It's like, I think you wanted it to be the God particle, right? And so, what do we do with all this information? Why is this so important? Why do I think it's the most important information that we should be consuming right now? Because it reminds us of who we are, it reminds us of our divinity, and we begin to breathe back in that light of God. Doesn't matter if you're feeling it or not feeling it. That's just your mind telling you that it's not happening. You do it anyway. You consciously commit and choose to breathe God's light back into you, to sit with the light of God, to spend time with that light, to breathe it through, to invite it back in, to consciously walk with it, moving through you. We have all kinds of expectations. Well, I should be feeling it. I should be hearing it. Something should be happening. Why isn't anything happening? We have all of these responses to our expectation or attachment. I encourage you to let those go. All that's doing is letting the mind, which has always controlled us, it's letting the mind continue to control us. The mind plays no role in you beginning to connect back into that God light and the God particle. The mind's just a noisy radio playing, has no bearing. You have to have absolute faith that what I'm sharing with you is truth, that it works, that it's real, that it's the next shift in human evolution. And you just start doing it, you start practicing it, you start trying to override the mind. Override the mind. The reason you know that it's not them tricking us is because start practicing breathing in the light of God. And then you'll know. You can't fake God. You can't make a duplicate of God. It's impossible. That consciousness, that light can't be replicated. So when you start breathing it in, when you start letting it move through you, when you start accessing it, you know. It's an absolute knowingness. And it's, for me, the very first time, I think, and for many of us, the very first time we realize, wow, I've never actually accessed God. That consciousness, it's a living, breathing consciousness. It is designed to give us life. It's designed to fill us up into our wholeness, our completeness, so that everything else in the world is extras. What a gift we have, all these other things we get to have in this life, we get to experience, but not before we're first fulfilled within by that light. It's a slow process. It's a subtle process. And it's available, and it will start becoming more and more available to people as they recognize what they're in, this spiritual battle, what's been pulling them from their divinity and their truth, all the ways in which we've been looping the healing and the, just all the loops that we do. Are your meditations helping in that? I just did a meditation this Sunday. I dropped a meditation. I highly encourage you to go listen to it. It is about recalibrating the cells. It was very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. I will be doing more meditations that will help this. this process, because as I start going through the process, I will then be able to share in the meditations and in what works for me. I only teach and I only share what I've experienced. So I can't do anything until I've experienced it. Um, so, yeah, that is my presentation on my short little presentation on CERN, the God particle, you, your divine, incredible divinity. Um, My goodness gracious. Are we ready? I mean, let's go. Let's do this. It's a it's a fascinating time to be alive, and a really exciting time to be alive. I encourage you all once again, as I always do, to continue to sit and or walk or run or do whatever, but bring in that light of God. Visualize this omnipresent light coming in. Um, if your mind says nothing's happening, nothing's been happening, quiet that mind. Say, you know what? That's the enemy. We're gonna put that enemy to the side, and we're just gonna keep doing this. Thank you, but get behind me, Satan, those thoughts, and keep doing this and keep inviting it in. You know, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moment for all of us. So go out and activate that, bring in that light. I'm reading some of your comments. Doing something kind is a beautiful way to, um, being of service is a great way to um, allow that light to work through you, allow God's light to work through you. Where can the meditation be found? In my newsletter. So I send out a, go bring that light to Costco, Eric. Absolutely. um, meditation is in my newsletter, the Divine Downloads, the Divine Download. It's every Sunday. So if you go to my webpage or my website, my webpage, go to my website, lorieladd.com, and you'll find the little area where you can sign up for the newsletter. And every Sunday you get a free meditation. We have 118 right now. There's a couple of them where it brings in the light of God, but this one on Sunday, pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. And God does show miracles when you least expect it. God is in the details, and also God does not leave out a detail, and God will wow you the more you allow it to come in. 100%. Um, this is You guys are on the precipice of something very, very powerful. A deep remembrance that is going to wow you. It's going to wow you. And so let yourself be wowed. Do I have to meditate to connect with the God particle? Nope, not at all. I encourage you to have like a constant awareness that the light of God is coming into you. If you can be in some stillness or silence and just sit, knowing that you're aligning and connecting with that light, that would be nice, right? So there's not a lot of stimulation, but you don't have to sit in meditation or contemplation to do this. There's no rules. There's no like set any of that. Um, but being in nature kind of really calibrates your body to bring it in. Stillness calibrates the body because there's not a lot of distraction. The mind is going to distract, but it's important to pay attention to how loud the mind is. We want to do that because then the more you can become aware of how loud the mind is, the more you're aware of how controlling the mind is. Um, um, yeah. Any other questions before we go about connecting to God's light? Um, Yeah, you just talk to him like he's right there. You can just, I always just imagine that, you know, this omnipresent, magnificent light is just with me, walking with me. Yay! You got your dream house cabin in the mountains with my tiny budget. Yay! That sounds incredible. I would love a little tiny dream house cabin in the mountains. That sounds awesome, Angel Wings. Very, very cool. I love being wowed by God and letting go of my having to know everything. Yeah, one last thing, you guys. I was going to talk about this, but then I just got really into my CERN thing. Um, as we start doing this more and more, divine will is going to want to take over and lead the charge for you. Divine will is God's will, um, which is your divinity trying to lead you. And so we're going to have to learn more and more in the coming months and weeks and years, how to let go of more and more control, how to surrender more and more to the unknown while we still kind of create in our lives. Do you still talk to spirit guides? I do not. No. I speak to God, I speak to Jesus, and that's about it. I had an experience and reminded of all that you've been teaching. I had an invasion of sad, shameful thoughts in the morning when I woke up and started to breathe God in. It didn't take too long for it to subside. It's so true, Lily. Like, you guys, the moment you have intrusive thoughts, the moment you feel wonky, the moment you feel just like, oh, something's not right, you can just close your eyes or keep your eyes open, whatever you want, but you just start breathing in that light of God. I'm breathing in the light of God. I'm breathing in the light of God is coming into me. The light of God is coming into me. Don't try to think too much about it. Like, what does that mean? Is it actually happening? Why am I not? Like, the thoughts are what destroy the actual experience of it. You just want to be with the presence of whatever is. No expectation. And I'm the light of God, I'm the light of God, I'm the light of God. Yeah, all of these work really, really well. Really well. Just curious, why have you decided not to communicate with guides? It just doesn't resonate anymore. Um, as soon as I started connecting with Yeshua and with God, that was all I needed. It's just going straight to God is it's the only thing that makes sense to me, really. Like, um, it just is the purest truth. God is the purest truth. That light is the purest truth, and it's all I need. So it just feels like if I use other beings, other spirits, it's just bypass. Like, I'd rather just go straight to God. It's the truth of all truth. It's the purest truth. Everything. So I don't wanna really kind of, I don't know. It just doesn't resonate anymore. You know what I mean? All right, you guys. Um, this is it. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next Wednesday, 2 p.m. California time for our next show. Who knows what it will be? I can't wait to find out. Pass this video on to people. Hit the thumbs up button, because if you hit the thumbs up button and this video gets more thumbs up buttons, then it'll be passed out into the algorithm, and then more people will be able to remember the God particle. More people will be able to remember who they are. So imagine you're doing a service today by hitting a thumbs up button, because then it potentially has a higher probability of reaching random people somewhere else in the world that would never have seen this video. And it's all about the dang thumbs ups for some reason. We get these thumbs ups and then we can pass it along, and somebody in, like, I don't know, Venezuela maybe will be like, "Lori Ladd, this is weird." And then the essence within them, their divinity is going to be like, "I think I just need to watch this show." Then they watch and they're like, "Oh, the God particle, bringing in the light, bringing in the light, bringing in the light." So we can all be of service. All right, you guys, I love you. I will see you next Wednesday. Be gentle with yourself, bringing in that light of God. That God particle is activating in us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. Take care. Take